Happy Wednesday. Happy hump day. Mr. Asterbait, what's up? Haven't seen that commercial in a while. I guess it's off the air now. Hump day. Forget now, the camel commercial. Guys, we're taking challenges 5-3 through 7+3 challenges. Playing in a tournament here in Budapest. A little bit of a warm-up tournament. Haven't played in almost 2 years, so shaking off some of the rust. What's up, Asterbait? Let's grab a victim to get warmed up. Actually, I just had a victim. Let's get another victim from the lobby. Guys, we're taking challenges. Casual, please. 5-3 through 7+3. I'll be here for the better part of 2 hours. Asterbait, good to see you. It's hump day. All right. Create a game. The only way to find the lobby is through create a game. Can I just press the L key or something? Some secret command that I don't know? 5+0. We're doing increments. Try to keep it consistent. I love this time control. 2+3 for Morgenstern. Rosenkrantz and Guildenstern. 2+3. Never seen that before. Very strange combination. My tournament that I'm playing in, it's 90 minutes plus 30 seconds per move. And I am not comfortable with that. It's been a long time since I played sort of sudden death long games. In the old days, chess club tournaments, we would have game 30, game 45, game 60, but somehow, it wasn't FIDE rated. It didn't feel that serious, but it's like a FIDE rated game with no second time control. I can't really get used to it. Here's a 5+2. I think he got accepted. 5+2. I'm really bad. We could do chess 960, but no increment there. 5+3 with an unrated. What's his deal? Totally unrated. We should have taken a 5+2 when we had it. 3+3, 5+3 against an unrated. I mean, it really doesn't matter. It's unrated. John Miller. 3+2. I think I know this guy. He's been in our stream. All right. Playing white in my tournament game today, so this isn't going to help my immediate training. John Miller, good to see you. I hate the Rosalima. But you know that already. Alright, this is not what I consider to be the most critical, but this is a good variation for white. Like most of them. I have to stop playing d6. It's just not as good as the other main lines. I think you're on the wrong stream there, buddy. I'm not a friend of fast time controls. Chess is dumb enough already. We don't have to dumb it down, but make it 30 seconds per game. Alright, knight to g5 is interesting. What is this, actually? This is confusing. Alright, I have to take here, but queen h5, check g6, okay. Never seen this continuation in this order of moves before. What a pawn mass. Now, I believe this I've seen before. And that's not a pawn I really want. Anyway, exchanging queens on d8. What's up, Arsenal fan? I think this is good for black, but it's been a while since I did any in-depth study in these variations. Arsenal fan, PSG, Soccer Rook. Ross the door. John Miller also has played in my simul once. Alright, so we can chop the pawn with check. Kind of hard to argue with that. And then black's development is pretty wicked. We also have these Morphe-like bishops out here, but this knight is going to be invited in if I go out on an adventure with bishop a6. I think I need to just castle. So he's got a very, very bad problem with the f2 square. It looks like back rank mates and such. Very likely just lost already. Yeah, my last game I didn't castle. Avoid a hassle, and why castle? Much easier just not to castle. I made a post in my Panda and Horses about my last game. It was so funny because I played this move that I thought was just utterly coffee house, and I sort of I got up from the board and I had to compose myself. I went to the bathroom. I was like talking to myself, you know, internally, saying like, why did you play such a stupid move? Like, you know, you could just play normally and beat the guy in the end game or something, you know. So I won the game crushingly, and then I went home and I wanted to check it, and I saw that like Magnus had played the same way. But it doesn't make it any less coffee house. King never gets made on f8, no. Alright guys, we're taking challenges here. Sakharuk, Arsenal fan. They're kind of strong opponents. John Miller, Sakharuk, and Arsenal fan. Everyone's like 2100 plus now. Arsenal's joining the master leagues. You're getting up there, man. 2100. Well, I mean, online at least. Mess with his London system with this move order. The Fianchetto with g6, I think. It's a good way to play against people who play these recipe openings, like the Kali system, closed queen pawn games. There's another one. This is what he did last time. It seems relatively inappropriate. Now you can play bishop b2, though. Is that a better move than taking immediately? Comes an interesting point of contention. Should he have played bishop to b2 instead? No, then I have this like weird queen a5 check, although that's not necessarily good. He just ignores it. Yeah. Maybe queen a5 checks nothing. Alrighty then. I got a call. I have to take this one. Sorry, guys. Hello? Hello? See, Janos. Hey, hi, how are you? Okay, good, I'm good. Okay, so I can play in the tournament. Okay, you're welcome. So if you can email me, or I can find the information on the website, right? Okay, give me yours and I send it, and I will email you, okay? Yeah, great. Yeah, of course. Okay. Okay. Yeah, yeah. Okay, okay. Okay, you're welcome. Bye. All right, Hunglish. Started Hungarian, but then I realized that he speaks English, so why bother? Okay. It's always good to speak more than one language, kids. A word for the reverse ringtone. Yeah, I never bothered to change the default ringtone on this phone. It's really bad. The default Vodafone ringtone. Actually, maybe it's not Vodafone. I guess it's just the Samsung. The opening here is just like a standard Tarash. This is a standard IQP position. Well, I should rephrase that. It's not necessarily an IQP position. This pawn often becomes isolated. So, where does Mr. Bishop go? Or Mrs. Bishop, whatever you prefer. I think F5 typically, but I usually like to do a double fianchetto. It might be a little late for that here, I'm not sure. It's never late. Yeah, it's a little late for that, I think. More than one way to skin a cat. I don't care about knight h4. Don't assume nothing. Assume nothing, Arsenal. First mistake in chess. Right. No, I mean he would lose his lunch if he played knight h4. I guess. That central pawn is pretty vital. ChessTube fam says, do you have any idea if you need to have your YouTube channel monetized in order to be able to embed streaming on lichess? You know, YouTube drives me crazy. It's very confusing. And you're asking the wrong person a YouTube question. I have a YouTube channel, which I don't really use for monetary gain. Although, like, I think a few of my videos are monetized, I don't really even use it. So I wouldn't know. If you need to have your YouTube channel monetized in order to be able to embed streaming on lichess, it's a good question. I really don't know. I don't find YouTube all that user-friendly. I think they're trying to make it better. A bunch of streamers just defected to YouTube, actually. All right. From Twitch. Somehow, I don't know, YouTube seems more evil. Knight to c3. What are we going to do? We can play e6. But I mean, Twitch is owned by Amazon. Evil corporations control everything. No matter what you do. Alright, we'll just do it this way. I'm really, like, clueless with YouTube. I upload videos, that's all I do. I think I've earned 43 cents from YouTube. Did I trap my bishop? Man, you're focused on that bishop, dude. Arseny, you're obsessed. I mean, if you play something like h3, I guess I can play h5 if I have to. Well, I do have Norton Antivirus, which is like a virus in and of itself. What is going on here? Oh, he's just going to go 95. Now I did trap my own bishop. Almost. These technical questions are kind of distracting. In the middle of a game. All right. H5. I'm not a good person to ask about anything technical. All right. D takes E5, H5. Arsenal found the theme there. PSG Sakharuk is 2,500 in bullet. Warnaki, wow. Haven't seen you in a while. Happy 2020, exactly. Thanks for subscribing, for staying subscribed. Guys, I'm playing in a tournament at the moment and trying to get in a stream here or there. It looks like PSG Sakharuk has the same obsession as Arsenal fan. The massive pawn amoeba. Yeah, screw it. Can have my stinking bishop. I don't care. I mean, I could play Queen H4. That was the original idea. But I just decided it would be more fun to sacrifice a piece. We get like 3 pawns for a piece. Isn't it? It's just 2 pawns for a piece. Okay, I guess I was a little optimistic. 3 pawns for a piece, only 2 pawns for a piece. But it's a cool pawn structure. With some attacking chances. You know, it's... sort of dangerous for the opposition here. Oh, he's got that. Of course. Original plan did not quite work. Why didn't I just play King H7? Why would I play King G8 instead of King H7? That's crazy. No, I mean, he always has like queen e3. That's why I have to play rook d2 to stop his queen from coming back to e3. All of his defenses are based on that. So my rook, I don't know if this is even sound. All right. I don't want to look. I don't want to see what the computer says. I'm sure it wasn't sound. It was just coffee house, sacrifice the piece. I'm not even awake yet. Arsenal fan. Your fears were justified. Though you kind of planted the seeds in his mind, I think. He was probably listening to the stream, listening to Arsenal's lecture on the light squared bishop on f5. Decided he wanted to play for that. All right, sorry, I'm white. White goes first? I can't remember. Half the time. You guys like it when I sit there and I just like abort the game and say my opponent didn't show up when it's my turn? It happens all the time. What did I used to play? F4 here in the old days? What's up with F4? Doesn't seem appropriate. Anyways. Arsenal's now studied up on this. 5-5 is acceptable. Absolutely. 100% acceptable. I don't remember what I played last time against you. Was it like knight b5? I guess there's two moves. Bishop f4 and knight b5. This is another variation that I haven't played since I haven't played this in 25 years. Maybe one game, but it wasn't this variation. I have played this opening a couple times, but not gotten into this gambit line since the last time I played this gambit line was against Csaba Chizar in Chizar Csaba in 1997, 1998. Can't remember. After that loss, I decided that I'm not going to play this without knowing it properly, and I never did get around to an in-depth study of it. Famously played between Kasparov and Karpov, this variation. I don't remember if that was probably in a tournament rather than the World Championship match. This is an interesting move I've never seen before. Unlikely to be good. LPDO, Arsenal fan. LPDO. Loose pieces drop off. But he's trying to simplify the game, presumably with something like knight to d3 check, I guess. Looks very awkward for black. Bishop d6. Well, no, if knight b5, he plays knight d3 check. I have to take it, then he takes my bishop on f4. It's an interesting variation. I would have quite the lead in development, but I lose a vital piece. The dark square bishop is technically one of my best minor pieces, although it's actually one of his good minor pieces too. This move has to be wrong. I'm just not sure what the punishment is for this crime. He's way behind development. He'll have a really good dark square bishop if I do that. could just simply play like bishop g3, you know. If I do that, let's say like bishop e3. I mean, I don't know, bishop b3, bishop g3. If you start doing stuff like knight b5 and knight e4, black's going to have like a queen a5 check at some point. It's not that easy. Probably there's something there that I missed. Maybe I should have just played knight f5. Knight f5 now actually looks kind of devastating. Oh well. It's still probably good, but not as good as it was. Black's far behind development. Obviously, both sides have played badly here. Juicebox, I was just thinking about you yesterday, being a large part of the stream for so long, and you were absent for quite a long time, and being in such an interesting and unusual place in Southeast Asia. I was wondering where you were. Bishop b4 is going to be an issue. At one point. It's interesting, Arsenal fan, it's terrible time management, dude. You need to use your time. I mean, you're playing like it's 3-0, honestly. Your pace is very good for 3-0. But I think at this time control, you might as well just give me 2-minute time odds, you know? Why don't you just play me like 7-3, 5-3? I mean, it's pretty hard to give time odds to someone who's higher rated. You may feel like it puts pressure on me, but I think it hurts you more than it helps. Sometimes you beat me. It's very hard to pace yourself, though. If you're used to playing like 3-minute or 5-minute or 2-minute or whatever it may be, to switch from like that, I understand. I mean, you're playing your preferred time controls. All right, Juicebox man, it was good to see you. Twitch some took you off my notifications list. My Twitch somehow took you off my notifications list. Blame it on Twitch. Blame it on the software. In a fit of rage, deleted me. In a drunken stupor, you deleted me. I know the truth. I love my bishop on g3. It's a little confused. F5. Wow. What the? Is this even a good move? Probably not. Things are going to get a little complicated. Well, that's not what I expected. Yikes. Pretty much figured on queen b6 check. Well, you have several moves. Bishop d6 also. This is... Can't believe you can get away with that. e4. e4. You think he likes 10-0 the most? Well, I mean, sudden death makes a huge difference. You got to play faster. It's very different. But I mean, now with you know, the international chess world pretty much playing with increments in every serious tournament, I mean, that was never a standard. When I grew up playing chess, digital clocks were extremely rare. So obviously we didn't have increment for the most part. Now what happens here if queen b6 check or something? You actually... Yeah, I mean, e5 is a bad move. There's no need for e5. I thought queen b6 check was interesting. Yeah, and I looked at bishop... Let me turn off the engine. Bishop f2, and I was looking at d4, knight a4 here, with the idea of queen c2. Queen a5. This is my analysis. When this pawn is, you know, eventually going to fall, I can play like a3 and b4, queenside. So I wasn't sure what was really going on. Maybe you have a good game. Maybe you can go for that dark square bishop finally. But I mean, this move is an atrocity. Bishop d6. I should just play knight f5 right away. See, my problem with this was knight d3 check. Apparently, though, you can't risk this to your king side. So at some point I should have played knight f5. Destroyer 942. Okay, so we're taking subscriber challenges. Imre, Mule Skinner, and Zen Chess. Guys, you guys had the preference, so I appreciate while I'm playing in the tournament. That you guys continue to support the stream. While I'm not streaming all my weekly streams this week. I missed Tuesday and Thursday and last Sunday simul, so I know it's a little bit hard to be without me, but I need it. By the way, the phone call I just got, I agreed to play in another tournament in February. So you guys are going to miss me for a week in February. I've been contracted to play in an IM norm tournament. Very good conditions in a nice place. The Budapest Castle District, that are having an IM tournament up there. One thing I hate is playing in tournaments with bad conditions. Actually, this is my game from the other day. I just live in Budapest. That doesn't mean I play the Gambit. I happen to play it like in Blitz occasionally. My one tournament game with Budapest was now a famous story. Okay, h3. That looks familiar. I'm just going to play maybe e6 here. The g6 had enough of that. Let's try something different. The Chernyshov. 5 knight a5 is a really interesting move. I should have played that in my 4th round game. I regret that I didn't now. More interesting to play 5 knight a5, or sorry, 6 knight a5. Obviously non-standard. But, you know, it's an English kind of Sicilian, English opening Sicilian type position where knight a5, knight c4 is a normal dragon maneuver. Even though I'm playing this very early, at least the plan is a normal plan. Usually it's played around move 10 or move 12 or something like that to go knight a5, knight c4. But I'm not just putting my knight on the side of the board in a completely random way. Grandmaster Chernyshov is the expert on this, and he did this exchange sack, similar position, against Walter Whitman, I remember. It's kind of speculative, though. I mean, this is a risky thing to do, but it has positional basis. You like playing the Chigorin variation of the Queen's Pawn because I'm boring and proud? You think that Chigorin is boring? I would think that you're absolutely misrepresenting that opening. Boring is not a word I would clarify. I would qualify the Chigorin with. Absolutely not, sir. Other adjectives may be applied, but not boring. I don't know. I think you guys are smoking drugs. I mean, obviously I'm not an authority on the Chigorin, but I've certainly played against it a lot. And I feel like it's kind of like a risky, slightly outside the box, but playable variation. Oof. Should I grab that dark square bishop now? Would make sense, wouldn't it? It's kind of bad, actually. I don't know which one of his bishops is good and which is bad anymore. It's getting hard to define these things. He's got the Arsenal fan school of time management going on, too. Very popular Arsenal. It's not just you. It's like everybody plays a little bit too fast. The more complicated the position is, the more time you should use. My tournament is going all right. I think I'm on 4 points out of 5, and only I basically define the results by how many rating points I've lost. Not how many rating points I've gained, but how many I've lost. When you're playing in a tournament where you're higher rated than almost everyone else, I guess the way to look at it is like, just minimize the damage. It's hard to gain rating points in a tournament where you're ranked like first or second. Why didn't I just take that pawn on a4? You just swindled me? I could just take it? Oh my god. I believed you. Always take. Have you been checked for ADD? The important thing is black structure here. Plus the bishop pair could be very strong. In the endgame, the pawn structure is a disaster for white. The other interesting factor here is that there is no open file, and he has 2 rooks. Isolated pawns clogging all the open files. Well, I mean, I have to be 4 out of 5. I mean, the majority of my opponents were like 2,000 rated players. It's a long story. I feel that my field is a little stronger than that, but a couple old players who have lost a lot of points. WIM, who is way under her peak rating. I think my opponents should be a little higher rated. Now I've got another massively underrated opponent. This opponent for today is like 150 points underrated. Because he plays in tournaments where he gets paid to play and just doesn't care. Like these FM groups. He's basically paid to play in these FM groups with aspiring young players for no prize money. So he stopped caring about his rating. He went from like 2,200 to 2,080 in the last year. My opponent for today is a good friend of mine, actually. The K factor determines how quickly your rating changes. And I don't agree with the FIDE rating system. I don't think there should be more than like 2 K factors. No, there's like 4. But I think it's absurd. It's really unfair that like my rating can't change, but other people's can. Alright, he just resigned here, losing back the exchange. That was sort of stock idea. Sack the exchange on c3. I'm not sure objectively, though, if we want to look at that for a moment, you know, how sound this is. Like, I don't know if I would do this or not in a tournament game. The computer did analyze it for an instant and then change its mind. I would think long and hard before actually doing this in an over-the-board game. A lot of people just make this kind of sacrifice routinely. But I think a lot of factors should go into determining whether or not, you know, it's good. This particular version, probably, my development's not really ideal. My king is still stuck in the center, my bishop's still on f8. The computer doesn't really think I have quite enough compensation. Anyway, it's a fast game. Yeah, I don't think the juniors should have special K factors. I think it's a farming program for FIDE to get more money by getting juniors titles quicker. Arsenal. At some board meeting like 20 years ago, probably like people at FIDE decided they could generate more income by making K factors faster for kids so they could get their FM title faster and or candidate master, whatever. It's all like part of like a program to make money for the World Chess Federation. I know that sounds kind of paranoid, but it's true. Mule Skinner. That seems like a very reasonable idea, Arsenal. A 10-point bonus per season. But 10 points in ECF is a lot. Maybe it's too much, you know, but I think the concept is reasonable. All right, we'll use our anti-Morales system here. El Rosador, your first tournament in February, 1200 to 1599 or 1600 to 1999. Are you talking about US chess or FIDE? I'm not sure where you are. Or some other rating. Possibly. Could be like Canadian. I don't know where you are. They have an Irish rating system? Like with separate ratings? Oh, it's FIDE, okay. I guess I don't know, you seem pretty good to me. Do what you think is right. I don't think it's like you can make a big mistake. I would look at it this way, like your lichess rating is probably about 200 points higher than what your FIDE would be. You know, so just judge by that. I was doing this a lot against Mule Skinner. Just assign yourself a provisional FIDE rating. Your standard or rapid lichess rating minus like 200 points. That's just my own personal approximation. It varies. You know, for some people it could be 0, for some people 100. I don't think that anybody's going to have like a higher FIDE rating than their typical like lichess rating. The difference could be anywhere between 0 and 200 points probably. Mule Skinner, morning, Mr. Coffee. I didn't realize you weren't here. You're just always here, so I just sort of take you for granted. Mule Skinner and I have battled in this position before. Unfortunately, I wasted a bunch of time talking. I'm still not awake. I didn't have enough coffee. Jesus, I didn't have any coffee. That is insane. I've been sitting here without my coffee all morning, thinking that I already drank my morning coffee, and that's why I'm so sleepy. Wait a second. My coffee is like outside. I can't believe I forgot my coffee. Wow. Literally sitting here like thinking, why am I so sleepy? I feel like I need another coffee. That's hilarious. Mr. Coffee, you're the only reason why I remembered that I forgot my coffee. That's insane. Truly funny. No problem at all. That's cool. A formula to calculate ELO based on, it's actually ELO in Hungarian, but I just say ELO because everyone says ELO. It's like Aronian. Easier to say, but ELO, Arpad ELO, was a Hungarian mathematician. That's what the system is named after. No problem at all is Hungarian, and I'm living in Hungary, so we have this connection. But anyway, the ELO-based calculation based on lichess rating used actual data from players. The question, I guess, is one of sample size and how accurate the reported data is, but it's a really cool idea. No problem at all. I'll check it out. Yeah, I mean, lack of experience is going to have an effect. Like, you're not necessarily likely to play to the best of your ability in your first tournament because you're nervous. I remember when I played in my first tournament. By the way, Muleskin and I have probably already played this position. I remember losing this one really bad game where I made an insane move. My first tournament when I was like 12 years old, I don't remember exactly which year. I can never remember if it was 1985 or 1986, but I couldn't sleep like the night before the tournament. I was so excited because we had been like kind of my best friend and I had been, and another friend had been like, you know, kind of getting ready for this tournament for like a couple months, basically all summer. And the tournament was like the last weekend of summer. So I was really hyped to play, but it can be hard to concentrate. The more you play, the less big deal it is. But that's in some sense, though, that can hurt, you know. It can be good to be hyped to play. Clearly. But I would find my approximate rating, you know, figure out my approximate rating, El Rostador. If you're on the margin, you know, somewhere in the middle, I don't think you can go that wrong by playing in the higher section. It's not a tragedy, depending on how sensitive you are. If it will scar you for life to have a bad result. Man, I'm so happy I found out I had coffee. It was funny, Mr. Coffee. My yesterday game with the 2100 player, I wrote in the forum for the Horses and Ponda Club. I really thought I played this like garbage, trashy, cheap continuation in the opening. I had no idea. I just play on intuition. I don't know if it's theory or not. And it turns out it had been played by Magnus and Yakovenko, who, you know, Magnus can play anything. But I was particularly surprised by Yakovenko, who he's like Mr. Correct. I think Yakovenko is like the acid test of the player. He defines like correct aggression. Magnus can horse around with crazy stuff like knight g8 in the Alyekin's defense. He can play anything he wants, basically. And he'll still beat people. What is up here? Knight e4. Castle's queenside. The engine will freak out if I castle queenside. I think we have a problem. How do I deal with this? What am I going to do? Play king f8? Take his knight? It's a sin. It's a sin to do this. An absolute sin. I wonder if he could have taken with the pawn on e4. Are you making fun of my bishop or his bishop? You should say nice bishops. With 16 pawns on the board, these bishops are really special. Oh God. All right. I might have to do this. It's gross. But I think black is okay here. I hope. Hope chess. That's what they call it. Bishop 8 instead? Yeah. I might be able to play bishop f8. But I like the d5 square for my pieces. He's going to get e4. I don't know, man. I'm down 27 seconds. Bishop f8 is definitely a normal move. I think they're both playable. As well as rook c8. Knight e4 is a good idea for him, you mean? You can tell Arsenal is a late starter because he gets the algebraic notation wrong. Anyone who is as good as Arsenal fan, most people who are as good as Arsenal fan is as a player would never be able to make notation mistakes. They would have outgrown that. All right. It's funny though. Neil Skinner is a crafty player. Is that your peak rating? 2092 here? He's never been like 22, although I think he plays like it at times in certain positions. Mule Skinner is a player who's, wow, doing that anyway. Oh my god. You're kidding me, right? That is brilliant. I can't believe I let you do that. Truly brilliant move. Knight b6. Very strong. I guess if I had time to play king f8 and execute that plan, I would have been okay. Still, it's not clear. Because he doesn't have open files for his rooks. My exchange sack might be okay. He offers a draw. Alright. It's going to be impossible for me to play for a win. I have to just try to blockade. It's a generous draw offer. I mean, he is up the exchange here. I would certainly try to win. Boy, it must be better. But on the other hand, it's not so easy. How does he open the position? I would probably just play h4. I'm not sure that it's even possible for white to win. If he can achieve c3 and open the game without losing, material. Well, actually, I've been streaming for I've been streaming for like an hour Clash Royale. I think I'd know if my mic was muted. Maybe your headset is muted. Alright, let's try another game here. Zen Chess. These guys are subscribers. Appreciate the subscribing. This has been a weird week because I'm playing in a tournament every afternoon. I can't do the evening streams, so there's no subscriber stream tomorrow night. I will do a simul on Sunday, but I do sometimes forget, or sometimes Streamlabs just mutes the sound when I start the stream. It changes its settings and stuff. So it's entirely possible I would have my mic muted, but it would usually be early in the stream, not an hour in. I'm alright. I'm trying to not lose any rating points. Very lofty goals. I have to play with a really good friend of mine today, which is awkward. Probably my best Hungarian chess friend, who we know each other really well. But he's 67. He's a senior, and he's not as strong as he used to be. But he's still dangerous and underrated. You can't underestimate him. He's played really, really well in this tournament. Just crushed a couple Masters. This is interesting. Blobix just submitted a game. He's not here in the stream today, one of our regulars. He's a good player from France. He submitted a game to me, Zen Chess, for next week's subscriber stream, where he played against Shekashev, actually in the French league. This double fianchetto defense, he's played against me like multiple times. He had an interesting thing. If you get to check out the next week's subscriber stream, we'll go over the game. He played a very cool... Shekashev basically played like d5 early, and then Blobix sacked a pawn with b5 with some kind of novelty, which looks really, really cool. This is like a hybrid Catalan now. Yeah, d5... Oftentimes it's overextending if white plays d5 too early. Obviously, white's not getting that chance in this game. Our move order was, delayed d4, so... First moment where I was actually threatening to play d5. Zen Chess immediately blocked it. I think I might have had this position against Magnus. It was so long ago that I can't remember, but we had a double fianchetto, Queen's Indian. I'm not sure it might have been this exact position where Magnus played e6, but I can't remember. It's too long ago. It was a double fianchetto, Queen's Indian. Yeah, this could even transpose to a Catalan. Some kind of weird Catalan. Arsenal's going to start a lecture about the bishop on f4 getting trapped again. Not yet. Wait until I play e3. He's going to start freaking out. It is essentially like a mirror image of my game. With Sakarook. But that's the normal move. Oftentimes in these structures, it does get kind of strange. I also feel a little uncomfortable about it. It's another interesting move here is Queen A4. I could have played there rather than the low risk Rook C1. Yeah, Arsenal's crossed 2100 here. He made a kind of jump in playing strength, it looks like. And this is asking a lot. Wow. Hanging pawns. Okay. So if I take, you take with a knight. What are you doing here? You take with a knight? What is happening? Should I not release the tension? Man, this is kind of weird. The one thing I like about Zen Chess, I mean, there's not just one thing to like, but what I appreciate about him particularly is the fact that he tries to play theoretical openings, particularly the Najdorf. I don't have enough players on the stream who really, I feel like, test me theoretically. I'm not an expert in openings, but still, at my level, it's really essential to be tested in the opening. And I feel like Zen Chess does a good job, you know, playing kind of topical things. I had an interesting Najdorf earlier in my tournament that I'm playing in. Oh boy. All right. So this pawn, man. It's a 2-for-1 sale. Right? Is it a 2-for-1 sale? Yeah. It's looking that way. We get both his hanging pawns in exchange for our pawn on b2. And then black will be... And that's the thing about this type of position, though. Even if he loses a pawn, like, he still has practical chances to draw in the endgame. So, bishop f6, bishop f6, knight d5, bishop b2, rook takes c5. It's a pawn. It's not early to think about the endgame, and that's what masters do. You know, you've already got to consider, like, this endgame, what's going on in a queen and rook endgame, where you've got 4 pawns against 3 on the king side, 1 against 1 on the queen side. That's a very important part of the game, transitions to the endgame. You can already start thinking about the endgame in the opening. Grandmaster Edmar Mednes had a book called From the Opening into the Endgame, illustrating games where the game directly enters the endgame from the opening. And also a more classic book that I like, From the Middle Game to the Endgame. Highly recommend it. Of course, not every player is going to approach the game the same way. You know, some people don't care as much about endgames. I think that they're becoming more and more important. And people are playing endgames worse and worse, with increasingly faster time controls. Did you find a way to not lose a pawn here, Zen Chess? No. How can you learn those things? 4 versus 3. Well, I mean, endgame book. You know, you've got to find a good endgame book and understand fundamental endgames. There's a lot of them. A lot of good books on fundamental endgames. The factors I would consider would be something like, okay, we have a 4 against 3 endgame. What kind of pieces are on the board? Are there knights? Are there bishops, or just rooks and queens? Is there another pawn on the other side of the board? The fact that there's an extra pawn on the queen side probably makes a huge difference in this type of position. This was a critical moment, but if I take with a knight, he plays queen takes b2. It looks like he might have enough compensation for the sacrificed pawn here. His bishop is so strong, and my pawn on d5. Kind of questionable. Excuse me, kind of questionable. I'm not sure, though. Black has these 2 isolated pawns here. Things are getting more and more interesting. That's a very scary pawn for black now to face. If d6, rook takes b2. Knight a4 is off center, but it saves the pawn. It's a tough call here. Maybe I should have thought of this before. D6, rook takes b2, rook takes b2, rook takes b2, d7, queen d8, or rook b8 he's holding, but I have rook e1 at the end of the day. That actually looks pretty problematic for black. I go to the 7th and then play rook e1 next. He's right on the precipice. Now, this was a defensive plan that I thought he would try earlier, bishop d4. But that's still probably good. Alright, so I think I can win an exchange here with knight d5. He'll end up sacrificing the exchange, though. Probably have pretty good compensation for it. The bishop's pretty strong. There's lots of situations where he could sack the exchange and be perfectly fine. I don't know if I have anything better. D7, no, he's playing bishop d4, Coach Ah. He's interfering with my connection. If I play d7, that's the problem. Bishop d4. Rook e1, it just drops. You know, the d7, I need one more tempo for that to work. I have the sense that he could have played for bishop d4 earlier. That was my first inclination. Instead of playing even rook b4. He could have done that like very first thing. Okay, what do we do now? Rook takes d4, bishop d4, knight c6. Win the exchange for a pawn, and we try to grind him down. It should be a tactical win. But this I didn't expect. Takes with the pawn. But certainly reasonable. It makes his bishop bad, but it's the pawn itself is a dangerous piece. This king doesn't look safe, does it? Rook e1 right away. But rook e1 right away. Queen takes b2. Maybe I should blockade first. I think this is a tactically winning position, but not easy to execute. Queen b3 is another interesting move. What about that? Queen b3. Daring him to trade queens with my rampaging rook. Guys, I'm streaming till 1 o'clock. I've got to prepare for a tournament game. He's still alive. Making room. All right, so it's gonna take some work to win this. It's going to take a lot of work to win this, actually. I don't know if this is a good move. Seems sort of dumb. Yeah, this is really tough to win this position. Damn. it's going to take a long process, like getting my queenside pawns moving. And even then, I'm not sure. If I could trade queens, it would be over instantaneously. H5 is a good move. I suspect it's probably a win for white, but not easy. Just took my pawn. Not nice. But I'm threatening mate. Yeah, we detected the weak point enemy position. All right. Haberbomb and Testosterone. Welcome, guys. Good to see everybody here. I'll be streaming on Friday and Sunday. No stream tomorrow due to tournament. Then the schedule will go back to usual. I had agreed today, actually, to playing an IM tournament in February from the 13th to 22nd. Organizer here in Hungary, who I've played for before, needed an IM who is a foreigner. So I'll be playing some kind of IM norm tournament. Obviously, I have enough of those already. But it should be good. It should be good practice. The tournament I'm playing now is my first tournament in almost 2 years. So we're just getting back, trying to get back into practice. Although I play team championship games. It's not very many. And I missed quite a few in the last 2 years. So this is all theory. I remember Patrick Wolf played A5 against me when he was second for Anand in his World Championship match. In Anand's World Championship match with Kasparov. That's one variation. The Queen E6 is like the oldest move. Knight D7, I think, is a move. B6 is probably... There's like all kinds of moves for black here. I'm not sure. Knight C6, I guess. That's normal. I don't know why it seems strange to me. It should be normal. No, Knight C6 should be a main line. Actually, it is. Knight C6, Bishop E3, Bishop G4. I think I had a game of Hastings once. Something like this happened. But I might be confusing variations. I kind of gave up playing this. Another interesting move is Rook D8. Bishop G4, Rook B7. Bishop F3, Knight takes D4, draw, or something like that. So Bishop G4, Rook B7, Bishop F3, Bishop F3. You could take with the pawn on F3 as well. I don't think that helps. The queen will actually beyond my bishop, you know, so you could have variation like bishop g4 there. I'm not sure about rook d8 though. And his queen has to be careful not to get trapped here. But it's starting to look... Okay, this is his idea? Or just trade pieces? If knight to d4, avoiding exchanges, how's my game? I don't know the theory anymore. It's very unusual to see someone leave the queen on a2 this long in this type of line. Normally it's like bugged out by now. But it's possible this is still a book. Rook e1 could just defend my bishop. I would need to research this position to better understand it. I haven't played this type of variation over the board in a million years. In the late 80s, this variation became like extremely topical. I played my first game in this line with black in like 1988, and then would later play it with white. But it just became too theoretical to really keep up with it, the theory. Haberbaum is another player who I appreciate, really playing topical openings, like I mentioned with Zen Chess, is helpful to me, very helpful to me. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Is your queen trapped? No. No, it's not going to get trapped. What if knight d4? This queen is like very difficult to trap, actually. Coach, what do you mean? You don't like them for black, or you don't like them for white? The classical variation with bishop c4, of course, considerably different. This is like kind of his only move, I think. Figured I'd sacrifice that bishop on e3 for some kind of pressure. It's not really clear how much pressure I in fact have here. I guess I could just take it. Then this queen is almost escaping. Seems like white should have pretty reasonable compensation for the sacrificed pawn. But what is it exactly? Where is it? Where is it? Just speculation. Pure speculation. He's up a pawn. That's a plan. But I don't know if it's enough. I'm very underwhelmed by my compensation here. But it may be enough, you know, this square, the C file in general, it may be enough to offset his extra pawn. But it doesn't seem like more than enough. You know, e6 is a really aggressive move, and that was definitely my number one concern. But I think it's also exceedingly risky for black. His queen is in some danger. Is this a good move? Probably not. Here comes his bishop. Which one, you might ask? They both look pretty dangerous. I'm trying to trap his queen, in case you're wondering. But it really doesn't seem to be a way to do it. It's just a pipe dream, you know, trapping his queen. The fantasy island. The plane. What am I doing? What am I doing? I'll just have to take back on d5 with the pawn, I guess. He's played well. I can't say the same for myself. I'm sure that I've made a lot of inaccuracies here. My knight feels clumsy on c7. Not sure what it really does. He's got a really solid looking game now, man. I mean, you gotta respect black's play. 1962. Really gotta respect his game. Played this perfectly. Feels like white is desperate. I can take on a7. But I mean, honestly, I'm still not convinced. Well, I mean, if he plays queen d7, which is the first thought, he doesn't need to do that, though. That's not my biggest problem. Damn. How about g4? g4. I guess we just keep pushing the pawn and hope that something good happens. It's a very deep idea. Queen a5, d6. Hope for the best. Maybe I can checkmate him on the dark squares. Something to that. Bishop d4. Yeah, queen a5 is probably black's best move. Bishop d4, bishop h6, bishop d4. Trading off the evil. Man, I hope I don't get back rank mated. Funny position. Not funny for me, though. Oh, he found that too. Wow. Pure evil. Unadulterated evil. What am I doing here? Man, just fearless. He sees everything. It's not fair. He saw that too. Just lost. Wow. I'd like to get an analysis of this game. And how is... I like how knight c6 has only been played in 11 games and black hasn't lost one. What's up with that? How is this move played in 11 games out of hundreds and black hasn't lost a single game? I mean, that's crazy. Best move according to the engine. Damn, dude, you played 1 inaccuracy, 18 cent a pawn. I just ran out of time. My first mistake was that I didn't anticipate that the queen would be attacking e4, though it may not be relevant. That was really stupid. I already had 16 seconds in this position. It took me all my time to get here. And now I played rook b4. No, it's not engine on my computer. Engine is bishop g5, apparently. I've already sacrificed 2 pawns at this point. You know, and it's not even clear what I've achieved with this knight on c7, other than some cheapos. Yeah, I mean, maybe that's interesting, but to me, it's not that big a deal. Here I just don't have enough compensation, apparently. He found this move. Wow, bishop f8. Brutal. Now I'm just lost. I saw it, but I didn't think he would find it. And I didn't really have a better idea what to do here. But objectively, I should probably, yeah, just do like bishop f4 and try to push this pawn. I have compensation for 1 pawn, but not for 2 pawns in this position. Yeah, but the variation doesn't find, I don't find that interesting, guys, because the computer says I should play d5 or whatever. Yeah, this to me is like, it might even transpose to another variation. I don't find this that interesting. White didn't win a single game. At least this kept a little bit of tension. Actually, he missed a strong move here, apparently, e6 intermezzo. I don't really like trading pieces, you know? I mean, that's why I was reluctant to play d5. In the game, at least, I could play knight to d4 and avoid exchanging pieces. Testosterone, good game. Haberbomb, very well played. Yeah, in that particular case, with my lineup of queen on d2, rook on b4, I mean, bishop f8 was a consideration. Testosterone has a very deeply affected obsession with kingside fianchettos. I have to say I have a little bit of that too. Alrighty. Well, honestly, Coach, I think that black is fine in general. Like, you can't get an advantage with white in the opening, really, against correct openings, I don't think. No, to equalize in the Grunfeld is pretty normal. If you show me how white gets an advantage against the Grunfeld defense, you know, good luck with that. The closed Sicilian. Right. Alexander Ivanov. Kasparov also liked to play g6. How many times did I see people attempt this? Should I play h6? Is it even necessary here? Maybe. d5, cd5, cd5. No, it's actually like a reverse Peertz. He likes the Peertz. Like we said earlier in the stream, this is becoming like a worldwide quote, but it doesn't matter what Magnus plays. He just wins with everything. He can play anything. Magnus can make any opening look good. But I admit that I appreciate him a lot more than I used to. Now e4 is kind of a weird move. Wow. With the queen still on d1 uncastled. Interesting. What is going on here? So if I castle, you play bishop g5? Is that the big idea? If I take, you like this endgame? I mean, it can't be bad for black, clearly. I mean, this has to at least equalize. But only equalize. I'm not necessarily better. But I'll take it with black. I wouldn't know. Magnus wouldn't really have too much experience coming back from losses. Key one. What if I played something different like b6? To be fundamental here. All right, this is good. I hate symmetrical pawn structures, guys. But when you're black and you get a chance to equalize, like I did here, I mean, it's pretty hard to put me in a situation and tell me not to play d takes e4, you know? I feel like I'm letting white get away with something if I don't play d takes e4 in that position. When we say equalize, I mean, we're saying white has the first move advantage, so you're neutralizing the first move advantage. At that point, equalizing is that point when white no longer has his advantage of the first move. I mean, that's a very simplistic plan, Uber Driver, and obviously it has ramifications. But you know, I'm very familiar with I'm very familiar with giving up bishops to get a dark square bind. You could definitely play that way. I think this knight is poorly placed. It's blocking his bishop on g2. It's blocking his f-pawn. Doesn't have a great future. Now he has a plan. My knights are stupid too. I've got redundant knights. This is a big problem. What about knight b4 here? Knight b4, knight e3, knight d3, rook d1. Not so great for me, actually. This is really strange. Knight d3, rook d1. Getting the dark square bishop may not be all that great. Rumors. Presumably bishop a3. You may yet see another bishop f8 today's stream. Yeah, this sucks. Master of the endgame, testosterone. That's such an interesting move, that early e4 you decided to play. Very curious. I'm very curious about this move. Maybe I should push. Objectively. I want to analyze it after the game. Castle queenside definitely crossed my mind, Uber driver. Caution is the better part of valor. Or is that the same? Wisdom is the better part of valor? I'm not good with quotes. Yeah, I've got nothing now. He's a freaking genius. You can almost predict his moves. You know what I mean? Like, I know what he's going to do before he does it. It's weird. Seems incredibly strong. He has a poor score against me because he tends to melt down in, like, good positions. But almost every single game he has a pretty good position. Incredibly strong in his openings. Actually crushing me in a correspondence game at the moment. You're fighting burnout? Discretion is the better part of valor. Thank you, Mr. Coffee. Burnout from the wife? Burnout from chess? Burnout from work? Driving burnout? Uber burnout? There's all sorts of burnouts. This bishop f8 was just an essential part of chess strategy. You know this is going to happen, since I alluded to it earlier. White still has his equal. He's not worse, I would say. Exchange sacrifice. With rook takes c6. That's Neil Young, right? Or did he steal that from someone else? Oh, he found it. Bishop e2. Looks like a good move. Pawns shall protect pawns. Maybe he'll lose on time. I'm suddenly reminded of that Bugs Bunny cartoon where it's like Bugs Bunny and Elmer Fudd. And he's like, be very, very careful. That's, I don't know why that just popped in my head in this position. Oh my God, I'm going to lose on time now? What? Someone didn't just compare Neil Young to Jimmy Buffett, did they? That's sort of perverted. You're making me hang pawns and stuff now, saying things like that. That's just wrong. You can't be saying that. That's worse than Donald Trump using Neil Young's stuff at his campaign. How strong is testosterone? Damn, dude. He's like a master. Shit, dude, I'm just getting crushed. I don't know how he's 1968, though. That's crazy. You should see the correspondence game where he's like crushing me. I'm almost mated there. Now I'm in Zugzwang. This is unbelievable. Oh man, I'm just totally lost. Like his first mistake of the game. King E2. You're telling me this guy's not a master? I mean, I think he was nice enough to give me a draw, but I mean, he's totally winning. I was just crushed. The whole game was almost flawless, except he missed some clear wins and time pressure. Do you think I can play King D3 and let that F pawn start going? Yeah, I mean, I just blundered knight c7. But I mean, previously, you know, if you look at his play, like e4 is a remarkable move to play here. This is extremely annoying. I didn't really want to play an endgame, and I didn't really want to close the position. And I have no way to keep the tension here. I was looking at stuff like knight c6. Pawn takes d5, knight takes d5. This is a very dynamic way for white to play the position. It probably prevents me from keeping the tension, essentially. Okay, it doesn't look fun to play this endgame, but at the same time, he's still fine here. I mean, this is incredibly fine judgment. It looks like white should be worse because his knight is getting kicked back to d1, but as you can see, the computer confirms that white is not worse in this position. Because my knight is misplaced here. I have the redundant knights on c6 and e7. Bishop a3 is an excellent move. Clearly best. Just, there's no way to win this position for black. It kind of looks like Uber Driver's idea of playing bishop g4. If it was possible at some earlier stage. Looks like it was better. Wow, some tough games. All right, so I got time for one last game against El Rostador, then I've got to go, guys. Not looking too confident here. Fortunately, I know my opponent for today, so you guys can't really affect my my play for today. You can't destroy my self-confidence. It's a very special matchup today. All right, if El Rostador doesn't move, where is he? It's very important that my opponent today, I wait for the 5th hour for him to get tired. Actually, this time control favors him. 90 minutes for the game without a second time control is enormously favorable for my opponent, who tends to get tired in the 5th hour of play. Because there is no 5th hour of play, he's at a distinct advantage. Make some coffee. Sounds good. I'm glad I finally found my coffee. Anyway, guys, thank you for subscribing and playing. Interesting games today. This is the second time I've had this week. Why do people play this? Like, it's not even a theoretical move. But I realized I had misplayed this in the past. If I can only remember what I looked at now. All right, bishop e7 is forced, but then it was my follow-up that was wrong. I have been doing something really artificial with like d6 and knight on bd7 in previous games. And the engine actually cast out on that. Turkey Farm, seriously? After embarrassing me there? You're going to ask me for endgame lessons? You should be giving me endgame lessons. Well, that point, the end of the endgame there, I mean, I would consider that an endgame going back almost to the queen exchange. That very technical end part is, okay, you misplayed it. But endgame extends way back into the what a lot of people would consider the middle game. So, what did the engine say? I guess the most important thing was I'm not supposed to play d6, as I had been doing previous games. El Rostador, did you play this against me? I mean, is it possible I had the exact same variation against him previously? Because somebody, this was not, you're black there. This is not. This could have been a Blumenfeld, theoretically. But somebody else played the exact same variation. I went through it a little bit with Stockfish, and you know, it turns out that actually this very unusual move, which no one legitimately considers a variation, might even be a tiny bit better for white. I never even considered it when I did my video series for the Chess World on the Blumenfeld. I don't think I even discussed this move. C takes b5 on move 5. It just isn't played. But it's not bad, surprisingly. You'd think like giving black the strong pawn on d5 would give him an edge, but it's not so strong. And it's also very easy for black to get a bad position. I was actually thinking like I could do a pawn sack with d4 if you don't take it. However, here there may be technical problems. Technical problems. We have some technical problems, Houston. You think it was you? Oh, you don't think it was you? I don't think it was you. Somebody else. I mean, I've had it multiple times against people. Queen a5 is always bad. This may not be that bad for white, though. Let's see. What alternative do I have? Bishop takes d5? Bishop takes d5, rook takes d5. Maybe that's better, actually. Although his rook can sort of move into position here in the center. Yes. Maybe I forced him to make a good move. All right. Alrighty. This is an interesting move as well. I just assumed king takes would be better. This is a very deep understanding of chess to go for the c4 control. I would say that's quite a deep conception. And I got to do everything I can to fight against it. Very unclear position. I've got to go, guys. This is my last game. My last game to lose today. Wow. Another great move. It's deep. Extremely deep. Played by my opponent. I didn't even see this move. Was viable. So he's asking me if he should play in the under 1600 section of a tournament or not. Are you serious? I guess you answered your own question. Now this is my only chance now. c4. Looks like I'm losing. Still not clear. It's like brilliancy by white. It's ridiculous. Positional brilliancy. I mean, seriously? Under 1600 section? You're playing moves like knight e4? I don't think so. I think maybe you should be in the master section. No, Coach, unfortunately, that's not how it works. Not too many people would find such a plan. I'm basically lost. Virtually lost here. If I'm not lost, it's just by complete chance. It looks like I'm lost. He made one mistake. Should have played a3 there. Or maybe this has already been calculated. Is my bishop trapped? Bishop e3, bishop takes a4. Yeah, I should just resign. Probably. Unless I could play like a6. Maybe I could play a6. This is very interesting. So you're like 1600, right? He's already beaten me once. That was the blunder in the simul. Okay. This is like a grandmaster playing white. The grandmaster level game. I guess I should have continued with a6, but I was afraid of b6. I guess I could fight on with that move. Just didn't feel like getting humiliated anymore. Anyway, very interesting. Thanks to all of you for playing today. We'll be back Friday with another stream here. Quite interesting game there. 1600 who plays like a GM. I think you're going to do well in the top section. Anyway, thanks everybody for watching and subscribing. I will be back on Friday. Thanks, Mr. Coffee, for being our moderator here. Bye-bye.